Good evening, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to the City of Hermantown Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for July 21st, 2026. It's currently 7 o'clock in the evening. We'll start our meeting tonight with a roll call of members. Beth Wenzloff.
Here.
Kevin Hagan.
Here.
Matthew Fournier.
Here.
John Stauber.
Here.
Amanda Radzak.
Here.
Ryan Johnson.
Here.
And Corey Colquist is currently absent. Second up is the approval of the agenda this evening. Can I get a motion on that, please?
Fournier with motion to approve.
Thank you for that. Can I get a second?
There you go, second.
Thank you for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That motion passes. Number 3 is the approval of the minutes from the June 16th, 2026 regular meeting. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Johnson with motion to approve.
Thank you for that. Can we get a second?
Stauber with second.
Thank you for that. All in favor? Anybody opposed? That motion passes as well. Number 4 this evening is public discussion. This is the time to speak on something that's not on this evening's agenda. So if you have something you'd like to talk to us about, now is the chance. Chief, do we have a list?
Oh, if they're speaking or just signed in as visitors.
We'll take a look. I appreciate it. Couple on Peyton Acres, one on Stevener Road. I don't have anybody signed up for anything that's not on this evening's agenda. Is that accurate? Last chance to speak on something that's not on this evening's agenda. We will move on from the public discussion. Number 5 is public hearings. The first one this evening is 5A. It's an application for a planned unit development. Amendment by BMAX Inc. for an 11-building, 22 total unit twin home duplex development on 10 acres. The property is located on Stevener Road and is located in an R3 residential zoning district. Eric, what do you have for us on this one?
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So this is an existing 10-acre site. Rich said it has access off of Stevener Road. So back in 2024, this project was approved as a PUD. And under that time, it was 10 twin home buildings for a total of 20 units with basically a garage unit as well as 2 pickleball courts. So what's before us this evening is an amendment to that PUD. What the applicant is looking to do is add 1 additional twin home unit to this, so bringing it to 11 total buildings for 22 units as opposed to the 20 that had been approved back in 24. In order to accomplish this, what the applicant is proposing to do is the previous location on the site plan, and Mr. Wickland, if they can actually go to the next site plan, kind of talk to that. It had basically the garage and the pickleball courts located essentially down in the southeast corner of the development that way. And so in order to accomplish what the applicant is looking for, they're looking to slide the previously approved garage unit as well as those 2 pickleball courts approximately 60 feet to the east. And so what that does, it allows the ability to create the new twin home in that location where the garage had been. So the application, and what you're seeing right now, this is the previously approved plan. Basically, once again, you kind of show that down lower right-hand corner. There's the 2 pickleball courts, and then there's that garage. I think at that point, Mr. Rickland, if you can flip to the next drawing. And what's showing, as I just previously spoke about, is the pickleball court and that garage has been shifted 60 feet to the east, and then that new proposed building is in the place where that garage had been. So one other change to this from the previously approved application was at that time there was some talk about the ability to connect this potential project over to Peyton Acres by way of a 66-foot right-of-way that would have extended from that cul-de-sac. Since then, Peyton Acres, at least at phase 3, which is a cul-de-sac which abuts this, has been platted and the lots have been sold. So there's not an opportunity to connect those two, this development to that development. So that right-of-way has been eliminated from this. Discussions between the staff as well as the applicant is looking at the ability to obtain what's Outlot B, which is just north of this, the proposed garages that way. It's primarily wetland, but what it does, it abuts other city-owned property, generally to the northeast, i.e. Stevener Park. So there could be at some time an opportunity to connect, if you so choose, whether it be a roadway or it be just some pedestrian access that way. So those are essentially the three changes from the 2024 previously approved PUD to what's before us this evening. So once again, we're looking to add one new additional twin home, shifting the previously approved garage and pickleball court 60 feet to the east, and the elimination of that right-of-way that would have connected this development to Peyton Acres.
Thank you for that, Eric. Commission members, any questions or comments so far on 5A?
Why was the pickleball court moved?
Why were they moved?
Yeah.
So actually, if we can, Joe, I'm going to have you shuttle back and forth between the two drawings, if you don't mind. So if you can show where the garage is, that's the garage, and then there's the pickleball court, which was kind of located in that upland area. So basically, they picked up that garage, picked up the pickleball court, shifted that over to the east, and it creates a basically a potential building pad area where that garage is today. So there's no additional or new wetland impacts associated with this. The proposed unit sits where, once again, where that garage was, and what you're seeing in red there, those were approved wetland impacts for this. So that garage and the pickleball court have shifted into the upland area. Basically, that's once again not in the wetland area. And one other thing is the garage is actually moved a little bit more to the north. Before it was closer to that side lot property line. Now it actually is in line with the rest of the units with the 40-foot setback there.
You said the red is the wetland?
That's the impacted wetland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So unit 22 or building 22 is right in the smack dab middle?
Exactly, and that's what, before the garage had been located there. So as I said, we kind of picked everything up and shifted it over.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments from the commission members?
Eric, did the applicant change? Previously, was this Dearden Builders, now it's listed as EMAX?
Yeah, originally the application came in with Jay Zierden, and actually BMAX, and that, Mr. Zierden is in the audience this evening if he wants to talk more about the structure that way, but BMAX is the actual developer that way. They're the ones who signed the development agreement associated with it.
Thank you for that. Again, any other questions or comments from the commission members before we open it up for public discussion?
Just clarification, you identified Outlot B with potential future access to the north. That would have been the same in the original application as well, correct? Or what's different there?
So, Mr. Rickland, if you can flip back to the 24 plan. Sorry, we're going a lot of back and forth that way. It's tough when you can't see them side by side. So you see where the proposed pickleball court is?
Yep.
And those, basically, that's a 66-foot right-of-way right there, which basically goes under the south and east.
Yep.
So now, that, let's say, has been eliminated, and by obtaining that Outlot B in the future, that essentially, if we ever had to, we could essentially mirror that to get it up over towards the Stevener Park, if needed.
Thank you again for that clarification. Any other questions or comments? Not hearing any right now, we'll open it up for a public discussion at 7:09. If you'd like to speak on 5A this evening, please come on up. State your name and address. We've got Jay Zierden up first. So Mr. Zierden, if you'd come up, get your name and address first, please, or city, I guess.
Hello, I'm Jay Zierden, 4736 Region Point Road. I really don't have anything to say. I'm physically doing the work there, putting in the water and sewer mains, and when I got to that spot in the property, I looked at it, and because we don't have that easement anymore, it just made sense to add a building there. It didn't change the wetland impacts, it really doesn't change the nuts and bolts of the project, I guess. It just made more sense to fill that spot. So that's kind of what I'm proposing.
Commission members, any questions for the applicant?
Oh, and regarding the BMAX versus Zero Brothers, BMAX is just a partnership between myself and the Beach Brothers. And I think it just got kind of brought through there out of the get-go, but it's always been a BMAX project.
Any questions for Mr. Zierman? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next up, I have a Steph, I'm sorry, I can't read your last name, Landry?
Landry.
Hi there. Please come on up, state your name and your city, please.
My name is Stephanie Landry, and I live on Steffner, right behind the proposed buildings that are going to be constructed. And I just have a few questions for you guys as you prepare to approve or have any conditions prior to approval on this project. One of which has to do with pickleball courts. So I know this is something new.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay. Sorry, I was off voice. Okay.
It's okay.
All right, so I'm interested in the pickleball courts and the approval processes. I understand pickleball is a newer sport to the community, so we don't have any legislation or guidelines surrounding this. And I know in other communities like Maple Grove and other places around the United States, they've had significant issues with pickleball and the noise because it's unpredictable, it's sporadic, and it can last all day. So we're not talking about a residential court here like I have in my own backyard that 5 people use. We're talking about, I believe, 22 units. So I'm not sure how many people each of these units is proposed to house, but potentially 44 to 120 people, I'm guessing. I don't know if I'm wrong. But my concern is that I'm going to be listening to the ball all day and all night. So I'm asking for a proposal or a request that we have some sort of guidelines or an acoustic impact study of the removal of the pickleball court from one location to the next. I've already purchased the lots directly behind my house to help mitigate the noise and planted 500 trees. So my request is that there would be something also done by the party who proposes to come to this project in order to help mitigate noise. I know that there's a lot of things that have been proposed, like adding sound barriers, noise dampening paddles, and things like that. But one of the best things that you can do is distance. So they've found that again, again, and again. Normally people say anywhere from 200 to 500 feet. As I understand it, my property is going to be about 200 feet from the proposed pickleball courts. But I do enjoy a lot of time outside, like most people in northern Minnesota. So I'd like to have time to be able to sit outside on my patio and not be listening to incessant, sporadic noise.
30 seconds.
That's all.
Thank you very much. Next up is Dale Harris. Dale, are you here to speak this evening? Please come on up, state your name and your city, please.
Good evening, my name is Dale Harris and I live on Stedman Road in Hermantown near the proposed development. I guess my only concern here is that when I attended the meeting in 2024, we were told that there was barely enough room to get this done, and now we're adding more. And I can barely get out of my driveway at certain parts of the day already because of all the developments that are going in along this corridor. And it seems to me that at some point, we're getting to the saturation anyway of what the neighborhood in the area can handle. And I know there are other residents on the road that feel the same way that I do. So I am opposed to this. I think the deal is probably already done. But I wanted to speak out against it and say that I think we have crammed about as much as we can get in between Stedman Road and the soccer fields. And it seems like that's the primary urban planning right now for any new expansion in Hermantown. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. That's everybody that is signed up. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak on 5A this evening? I'll give you a shot. Please come on up, state your name and address. Sorry, needs to say address, city.
I'm Barbara Harris, and I also live on Stebner Road with Dale Harris. I was also at the meetings back in 2024, and the justification that Mr. Zierden gave at that time for having 20 units on this 10-acre property was only 6 of the acres were buildable. And so he said if he was able to build on the full 10 acres, then he would be able to have 20 units. And so he said this was going to be green space, and so this was how he justified fitting in those 20 units. I feel like a bait and switch has been done, that we got the 20 units approved back then, and now he's coming back and trying to sneak in one more. I also think from a planning point of view, I'm disappointed. Best practices is every development should have more than one egress. And that's up to you guys, and you have left it up to the builders, and the builders are trying to maximize their profit. And I don't blame them for that, but you need to be looking forward and planning for these ways instead of just letting the builders say, oh, we sold all the lots. We're not going to make those, 2 developments connect. So I ask you sincerely to hold them to what they said before about why they were doing what they were doing, and look forward a little bit when you're doing your planning to make sure that Hermantown stays the city of quality living and that you are using best practices when it comes to city planning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barb. Would anybody else like to speak on 5A this evening? Please come on up, state your name and city for the record. Good evening.
Good evening. Sharon Lindberg, 3926 Tia Lane in Hermantown. I don't have a comment. I'm here for information tonight. But I heard something about the wetland area in this area, and see, there is a wetland there, and it comes across Peyton Lane, Peyton Drive, and goes into a pond and then out. And I don't know if this has been studied at all as to how cramming in another unit there and imposing into that area as much stuff as you can get, if it will affect the wetland that provides water to a pond and to a retention pond and goes south, I guess, to other areas. So we need that area south of Peyton Drive fed by the water that comes across. I don't know if that's been looked at or not, and I would like it to be addressed.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Eric, can you touch base on any of that?
Sure, so as far as wetland impacts, there are no new wetland impacts for this. The same wetland impacts that were proposed in 24 are being met today in 26. So as far as the engineering and the stormwater goes, that was one of the first things we asked as a staff. So the applicant's engineer looked at the pond design associated with the 2024 project, and how is that size, how is it able to A, work with the 24 project, which it did, and then B, how it could work with an additional new unit for that. And he's proved it without the calculations that it does indeed continue to work that way. So the way the stormwater system works is there's a basically storm sewer system associated with that, goes into pipes, it gets into that detention pond that way, and that's basically the treatment of the water. So, and it also we have 2 ordinances set up for stormwater. One is called 1060, which is pre-construction. At that point, you have silt fencing, you have a lot of erosion control measures in place. And then there's 1080, which is basically post-construction. And just to boil it down is the water, you have to meet the existing conditions of the property in its natural state is when it becomes a developed state, so that you can't discharge water just without treatment onto some other property that way. The water is accounted for, so basically under the native condition or natural conditions, the water is basically being treated or captured on site. Those same levels are met with the development as well. So it's a very thorough process that's gone through not only by the applicant's engineer, but also the city's engineer who reviews those things.
So there'll still be some wetland area there that won't be touched by this development?
Yeah, all told, there's about 3.3 acres of wetlands that are remaining with this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else this evening? Please come on up, state your name and city for the record.
My name is Roger Lindberg, 3926 Teal Lane. Just some quick questions on the pickleball courts. Are they open to everybody, every resident in Hermantown, or is it just people that inhabit the development?
I think I remember something about that the first time, right?
I remember the staff member presented that question as well, so it's for the residents of the project.
Okay. And will there be lights, or will there be any hours established for the use of those courts?
That's actually a question for the developer and the owner that way. There's no restrictions as far as the city goes. Once again, from a noise standpoint, we don't have any restrictions, requirements, et cetera with that. Lighting that way either. So it would be more of a question for Mr. Zierder and the BMAX team that way, if they plan to impose hours of operation, et cetera.
How soon would we find out what those hours might be?
The applicant is in the audience this evening. Maybe he might be able to answer this. Maybe he doesn't have an answer for it at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments on 5A? Oh, here comes Mr. Zierden. Can I get your name and city again?
Jay Zerden, 4736 Breezy Point Road. I would propose hours approximately 9 a.m. till dusk, and there will not be any lights on the pickleball courts.
Thank you for that clarification, sir. Once again, any other chance to speak on 5A? Now's your chance. Not seeing anybody, we'll close the public hearing at 7:22. Commission members, any questions or comments on anything that we've heard so far?
Can we get that time frame and no lights in part of the agreement?
I would propose that you put that as a condition to the recommendation. That way we can have it into the record that way as well.
Yeah, will I hold water?
Yes, because that'll be your recommendation from P&Z to council.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments before we look for a motion on 5A?
Yeah, I'll just add 2 cents. It doesn't seem like it looks like they're just where the old garage was. They're putting a couple buildings in and then moving the garage and the pickleball courts more towards the trail. Seems like from a planning and zoning, there's not a whole lot of things that worry me. It's just a comment.
Any other questions or comments on 5A? Not hearing any, I look for a motion on 5A, please.
Commissioner Johnson with the motion to approve with Commissioner Stauber's recommendations that we make the condition of no lights, 9 to dusk.
For the pickleball courts.
For the pickleball courts, yeah.
We have a motion, can we get a second?
Winslow, second.
We have a second, all in favor? Anybody opposed? Not hearing any, that motion passes. Thank you very much for that. 5B has been pulled from the docket this evening. I'll move on to 5C, which is an application by Minnesota Power Elite for a wetland replacement plan for 1.12 acres of wetland impacts associated with the Arrowhead Substation expansion, stormwater pond and electrical equipment enclosure located at 5816 Morris Thomas Road. This is located in a BLM, Business and Light Manufacturing Zoning District. Eric, what do you have for us on this one?
Great, thank you again. So I'm going to ask Mr. Wickland to get, first of all, the location map, and then after that, the actual site plan here as well. So the overall property that's owned by the Leaf Minnesota Power is 168 acres plus or minus. What they're looking to do is do work within a 1.2 acre area that's essentially 1,500 feet south of Morris Thomas Road, generally aligns with the access drive coming into basically the facility as of today. So what they're looking to do is to have an expansion of that electrical equipment enclosure, do some site grading in that area, install approximately 546 feet of security fencing, and the creation of a new stormwater pond. So currently there's not a stormwater pond in this area. This whole facility predates the city that way. So from a stormwater standpoint, they're actually providing treatment for this area associated with this new work. So this has been reviewed by the Technical Evaluation Panel for the wetland impacts. That group consists of St. Louis County, the state of Minnesota with the Board of Water and Soil Resources, the DNRs, also the Corps of Engineers. And the TEP, the Technical Evaluation Panel, has recommended approval of this wetland replacement plan here as well. So assuming this is basically, wetland replacement plans happen when there's greater than a quarter acre of wetlands impacted as part of a project. So if you recall, it was back in May, we had two of these as well. One was for the Peyton Acres property, one of those for Hawkline. And so this one before us this evening is the substation site. So what you're seeing right here, this is the overall site area. Mr. Rickland, if you could scroll down. In that area in red, that is the area for the proposed, basically that work within the stormwater pond, that expansion of the yard. So you can see it's the south of that existing drive coming in that way. And then we also have basically the grading plan showing the extent of that new pond associated with this as well. So this project, as well as the one that we previously heard, Planning and Zoning is a recommending body for both these items, and they ultimately would go to City Council at the August 3rd meeting. So the PUD that we just heard would go to August 3rd, and this project would also go to August 3rd City Council for their ultimate action.
Thank you for that, Eric. Commission members, any questions or comments so far on 5C?
Where is the expansion? Does that, can we scroll down?
Actually, I'm probably going to go back to the original plan, Joe, with the, and then scroll into that one, please. So that's the site. Obviously, it touches down there in Morris Thomas Road, and generally where you see his cursor at, if you shift it, just keep going south. So you see where that notch out is in the yard area? No, actually, sorry, Joe.
It's right here.
There you go, right there. Thank you.
That's where the pond is going.
Yes, the pond, and there's a bit of a yard expansion right in that area as well. But the primary use of this area is for the pond.
Any other questions or comments from the commission members before we open it up for a public hearing?
Is this all part of the same overall expansion project that kicked off a few weeks ago?
We actually have a member from Minnesota Power here that can probably just kind of talk about the bigger picture and basically how this all pulls together that way.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Kim Oldenborg, Environmental Compliance Specialist with Minnesota Power.
Can we get your city as well?
Duluth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Want to talk into the mic a little more?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, your question about just kind of the nature of this project. Yeah, I can just clarify this. The need for this project is needed regardless of any other projects. This is strictly a substation maintenance project. So there's some equipment that we need to replace. It's currently aging, it's over 50 years old, and it doesn't meet current industry standards. So this project would replace that old equipment with new equipment that does meet those standards. So it's a separate substation maintenance project.
Thank you.
Commission members, any other questions or comments? I'm going to open up the floor for a public discussion on 5C. It's currently 7:30. Would anybody like to come up and speak on 5C? I don't have anybody signed up for it. Once again, would anybody like to come up and speak about 5C this evening on our docket? Not seeing any, I will close the public hearing at 7:31. Commission members, any questions or comments on 5C before we look for a motion? Not hearing any, I look for a motion on 5C, please.
Roger, make a motion.
Thank you for that. Can we get a second?
Brad Sapp with a second.
Thank you for that. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Not hearing any, that motion passes. Thank you very much. Number 6, continuing business. Eric, I'm not seeing any.
No, there's not.
Number 7 is new business. I'm not seeing any of that either.
Actually, I will jump in if you don't mind. So, I've been teasing you with ordinances coming up, and staff is planning on bringing in August basically that update to our flag lot ordinance that we spoke about prior, that as opposed to flag lots coming to Planning and Zoning Commission, they would be handled from an administrative standpoint. In addition, the city is also going to be updating their shoreline ordinance, and so we'll be presenting that to Planning and Zoning at the August meeting as well. So there's been a lot of back and forth with the DNR on the shoreline ordinance updates, basically to get us in alignment essentially with the state and the DNR as far as their shoreline ordinances go into mapping. So that's what we're working towards the end of that and bringing it into basically the review process, both for planning and zoning as well as city council. So that's going to be happening here in August.
Thank you for that. Number 8, looks like we had a few communications that were logged.
I got a question. Can I go back?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
When will we see the ordinance, under shoreline ordinance, as a group here?
You would see it approximately a week prior, and I know where this is going, because we've had this a lot with other ordinances.
Where's it going?
No, I'm just saying with our other ordinances, it's typically, it usually has a couple stops at P&Z before it moves on to council. That's what I was getting with that. So it's, because it's still back and forth between the DNR and the city, that's been the length of time going on with this. So we're essentially wrapping up that process. So like I said, I anticipate at least finalizing at least those discussions with the DNR here in early August, and then getting it into your packets for that August meeting.
When would that be put before the planning and zoning for a vote? Are you talking August? The same meeting?
It'd be at that meeting unless it was tabled by the group.
Well, can I make a suggestion that either you postpone that a bit or get us the information earlier so that we have actually more than a week to do our job or something like that?
Honestly, I'd prefer to have it on that because then it's a live item that we can discuss all in person in one shot. Because otherwise it'd be basically, we have the opportunity to really flesh out ideas, comments, etc. in this group in a live meeting versus, back and forth with emails that way, which we can't do with open meeting laws anyway. But it's just it serves a better process that way. We introduce it in August. Once again, if there's concurrence at the August meeting, we can have a vote then. But one of the votes may be to table to that September meeting.
And that's very acceptable and expected on some of these bigger things, is to have a chance to all talk together. But table it so we can then personally dive in and make sure we are agreeing or not agreeing.
Yeah, exactly. You have the initial look when you receive the packet. There can be questions asked to staff at that meeting. Those changes can be then worked on over the course of the next month and then brought forward again at the next meeting.
Good discussion, thank you for the clarification. Anything else? Not hearing any. Back to number 8. We had some communications that were logged.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Number 9, commission member reports. Beth Winslow.
No report?
Kevin Hagan.
No report.
Matthew Fournier.
No report.
John Stauber.
No report.
Amanda Radzak.
No report.
Ryan Johnson.
No report.
And up last is look for a motion to adjourn.
Take a motion to adjourn.
Thank you for that. Can we get a second?
Stop a second.
Thank you for that. All in favor? That motion passes. We'll close the meeting at 7:36. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah. Mr. Hagan. Okay, thank you.